All right, so welcome to this section. So for today's class, we're going to be working on a picture, just a simple picture. But the aim of the class is to show you how to manipulate pictures. You can do it any way you want. I'll just show you an example during the design. So let's just go ahead and pick a layout. So you go ahead and click the create button. That's if you're joining for the first time. Go ahead and click the create button and then you pick a layout of your choice, depending on what we are designing today. So I'm going to just choose, I think we should go with the flyer portraits. So I'm going to choose flyer portraits for this design. So I'll have enough space to show you what I want to show you. Can you guys see my screen? I think my network is slow today. Are you guys see my screen now? All right, so let's just get started. So like I said, we're going to be working on a picture. So I'm going to design a picture and then we're going to create the picture in such a way that it's going to have two different color scheme. So let's just get started. So it's going to be a simple design, a picture and then some write-ups. And then once we're done adding the write-up, we proceed to adding the effects. That's the main reason for this class, is the effects. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to run that effects. So just pay attention to the class. You're going to understand what we're doing perfectly. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to go to the element and then choose any picture of your choice. It doesn't really matter. Just choose any picture of your choice. But I would suggest you choose a picture of the human being, not just a random picture, because I'm going to explain that later. So I'm going to search for we just search for students. Once you search for the students, you navigate through the photos. So you click see all under photos, and then you scroll down and choose your desired picture. Now, if you choose a particular picture, make sure is a nice picture. And also make sure it doesn't have any form of the picture is not low quality, and then make sure it's not a premium picture unless you're using the premium accounts. How to know a premium picture is the ones that have crown on it. So you cannot use these ones unless you're using Canva Pro. So make sure you choose a free picture that is not premium, or you can download pictures from Google and then you import to Canva. So if you download the picture from Google, all you have to do is you click on the upload over here, and then you upload that picture to the whiteboard. So let's get started. So I'm going to increase this picture to cover the space. So I'm going to increase the picture to cover the space. And then after that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an effect to this picture. We're going to try and darken it or make it kind of gray, that's black and white. And then during the course of this design, we're going to make some part of the pictures to be colored, while some part of the pictures will be black and white. So let's get started. So once you add the picture, zoom it out to cover the white space, and then you go straight ahead to edit. So once you click on edit, you can adjust through the filters or through the style match. So as you can see here, we have different options on the style match. So you go through the style match, or you go through the filters. This is also the filters. So this is this particular style match. So the style match has a different effects. As you can see, it has a different effect. And also the filters also have different effects. So this design is basically if you're designing, let's say you're designing a birthday card, or you want to use someone's picture to create a nice design. So as you can see, it has a nice result. Now, what I'm going to be doing is the picture itself, we're going to add an effect to it, add some write-ups, and then we add the picture on top of the space again, and then we now filter out the parts that we want to be styled and the parts that we want to be colored. So I'm going to be showing you that. I'm just going through the style matches. So as you can see, the style matches have different type of effects. So you can take your time later to go through them to know the one that you're comfortable with. We have realistic ones, we have trendy ones, depending on what you are trying to do or the design you're trying to achieve. So I'm not going to be using the style match. I'll just be using, I'm going to use the filters so that it can be simple to understand. So I'm going to just use the slates, that's the normal black and white, so that it's going to be easy for you to understand. So once I add the slates, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add grain. Grain is more like to make it blurry. I don't want the picture to be clear, so I'm going to add grains to it. So go to the elements, search for grains, and then this particular grain, I'm going to be searching for grains under graphics. Something like this. So this is grain. Although depending on the grain you're adding, some can be thick, while some are not. So as you can see, are you seeing the difference? So if you add a grain to a picture, it's going to look a little bit blurry. So the picture is not going to be that clear. So we have different types of grain over here. So depending on what you want to use, you can decide on the type of grain to use. So let me just go ahead and use this one. So once I add the grain, I'll just cover the white space with the grain. I'll cover the white space with the grain. Now, the picture is still looking visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the grain down, click on the picture, and then I'm going to reduce the transparency of the picture by clicking here, and then so I'll just reduce the transparency of the picture a little bit. Let's say 80%. 80%. And then I bring back the grain. So I have something like this right now. So this looks okay for now. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some write-ups. You can add random write-ups, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to add a subheading to it. And then I'm going to write something like, let's assume her name is Vivian. So I'm going to do Vivian is a pop artist. Blending melodies with her instrument. This is just a random test. So once I add this write-up to the design, let's say I place the write-up over here, or I place it maybe, let's say here. I don't want the picture, I don't want the write-up to cover the face because I want to add effect to the face. Now, once I add this particular write-up, if the picture you are using, depending on the type of design you're working on, you can decide on the text color. Let's just say it's maybe happy birthday, whatever. Let's assume this is a birthday post. So you just run the write-up depending on what you're working on. And then after that, you decide on type of effect to use. Now, coming back to the effects, which is the most important thing. This picture looks boring right now because we don't have any color pop. So we have to add color pops. So adding color pops, first of all, you can decide on the color pops you want to add. If you want to add the color pops to the write-ups and also to the picture. So let's go ahead and add some color pops to the write-ups. So I just highlight, let's say I highlight some keywords, let's say the person's name. I can decide to add colors to some write-ups. Just by doing that, you're already changing the way the design looks. So adding some colors on some of those stuff is going to make the design look better. So you add some colors to the write-up, and then now for the main effects, the reason for this class, we're going to go back to the elements, and then we're going to choose that picture again. So pay attention. Once you go back to the element, you see recently used, and then you see the picture you selected before. So you go ahead and select the picture again, and then the same process, you align properly. So as you can see, this picture is aligned the way the other one is aligned. The picture is aligned the way the other one is aligned. Now what we're going to do is, as you can see, if you're highlighting this one, if you're pushing it around, it's the same thing with the other one because I zoomed it the same way. Now pay attention. When I was adding the other picture, the first picture, there was this black and white. When I was adding it, I just added it, and then I moved it to the edge. I placed it to the edge, and from the downside, I zoomed it out until I got to the down part. And after that, from the right side, I pushed it. So I have a pattern of adding the picture. So that's why you have this. So if you're shifting it, it's the same size of face, it's the same alignment. But if you add your pictures if you add the picture the wrong way, so you should use the same pattern to add the picture. If you add the picture different way, it's not going to align properly. Now for the effects, I want the lady's face, and as you can see, the hand, the sign she's giving, the two fingers. I want one of the fingers to be colored, while the other one is black and white. So I'm going to place this at the center of the two fingers. And then I want, let's say from here, and then let's say her face. So something like this, we have just basically her face having the color. Just her face having the color. Now, the reason why this design is not looking all nice is because the picture has a background. That means this picture, it has a background. But if we remove the background from the picture, we have a dark background and it's going to look nicer. So basically what we did is we just decided on where to make colored and where to make black and white. So that's how the effect works. So if we are to do this a proper way, we just have to remove the background of the picture. So we have a darker picture, and then we move forward to adding grains and then highlighting the section of the picture that we want to be colored. Now, since we are done with adding the section we need, let me just bring this down a little bit. Now, since we have this section that is colored, it's not looking too good right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a shape to it just to make it more visible. So to do that, we go to the element and then we search for a square. Searching for a square, we add this particular square, and then we go ahead to remove the color by clicking here. We remove the color, no color, and then we add a stroke to it. Choose a stroke, make it tick a little bit, let's say 8 to 10, it doesn't really matter. And then the rounded corners, we want to remove the rounded corners. So we have to make it to be like square, just like this. So now what we're going to do is, making this square, we add it to that section that is colored, and then we add the color of we change the color to white or any other color, depending on the type of design you're working on. So this does is that it's going to make it more visible, makes someone to understand the idea behind that effect. So the person is going to understand that you just wanted to highlight the person's face. And like I said, this picture has a background. So what we're going to do is, since we didn't remove the background, if you're working on your own, do well to go to Google, get a nice picture, remove the background before bringing it to Canva for the editing. Now, I want this write-up to show very well, and I don't want this background to be showing very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dark background. So back to the elements, I search for black background. I'm going to place the black background behind this particular picture that is colored, behind the grain, on top of the first picture I added that is black and white. Then I'm going to reduce the transparency. So let's go ahead and do that. So once I search for the black background, I go to photos, and then I look for a nice background that I want. So take your time to search for a nice background. So I choose this background, and then I add it to the design, cover the whole space. Now, as you can see, the write-up is showing properly because it's a darker background and it's a white text. So that's why I wanted to use a dark background to darken up the picture. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use position to send it backward. I'm going to send it backward one after the other until I get the perfect place I want it to be. And then after that, I'm going to reduce the transparency. So I'm going to click backward. So we have the shape. I click backward again. So we have the picture. I click backward. We have the grain, and I click backward. So this is basically at the back of the picture. So I have to bring it forward once to be on top of the picture, but behind the grain. Then after that, I'm going to reduce transparency so that the picture can be visible to some extent. So as you can see, if you reduce transparency, it's showing the picture properly. If you increase transparency, we darken up the picture a little bit. So when you're positioning, you just pay attention to what you're doing, moving backward, moving forward, until you get the perfect place you want it to be. And then you go ahead to reduce transparency, darken it up a little bit, or make it visible. Now, this test in general, this particular test you're seeing, if the test is not popping, as you can see right now, is showing pretty well. So, but if you feel like the test is not visible, what you can do is you click on the test, you go to effects, and then over here we have different types of effects. You can decide to add a background to the write-up. You can decide to add outline. Now, outline is the best because what outline does is, if I change the color of this outline to black, it's going to make it thicker. If I change it to white, see how it goes. If I change it to red, so if you're paying attention, you see the difference. So adding the background, adding the outline to the write-up, you can decide on the thickness of the outline. Are you guys seeing the difference? Okay. So if you add a black outline and then you darken it a little bit, it pops, makes the write-up more visible. So over here, someone can see that the picture, you just highlighted the face of the lady. But if the person is looking through the picture, the person is seeing that the lady's full body is there and the text is aligned. The picture is aligned also. You highlighted only the face. If you want to increase the surface of the picture, all you have to do is just shift the shape and then you increase any parts of the picture that you want to be visible. You can still go ahead to make it so it's basically something like this. So it's not difficult to run. All you have to do is you select a picture, you add it to the design. Once you are done with aligning it, adding the text, you add the picture again, you decide on the parts of the picture you want to make colored, and then once you crop it, you add the shape. The shape is important. If you don't add the shape, let me show you, for example, if I remove the shape, it doesn't look too good. But if you add the shape, it shows the reason why you did it. So depending on what you're working on, depending on also the colors you want to use for the design, you can decide on that also. Are you guys following so far? Okay. There's another type of effects you can run in this type of design. Let me go ahead and remove this. And then let's try something else. All right, so for this particular picture, this black and white picture, there's something else we could also do to the picture if you don't want to overdo things. Now, for a black and white picture, something like this. If you want to make it interactive, want to make it a little bit serious or add some effect, like I said, this type of effect only works perfectly when you're running. Is this basically for magazine, birthday posts, just basically easy designs without complications? That's where you normally use it. Now, if I'm running a particular design, let's say I'm running a design for a foundation. Let's say I'm running a design for a lady who is into fashion designing or so. I'm going to show you a practical example of this. So this lady here is a designer, a fashion designer. So let's assume this design is for a fashion design, whatever. Now pay attention to what we're going to do to this picture. So this picture is placed on half of the page. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some write-ups to it. And then we are going to add the second effect. I'm going to show you. So let's say see the word differently. That's like a simple write-up. So I'm going to place the write-up here. And then what we are going to do is we are going to add an effect to the picture and then also add an effect to the write-up to complement the effect we added to the picture. Now let's go ahead and add an effect to the picture. First of all, we're going to add a shape. We're going to add a square. It's not only a square that you can use. You can use circles, you can use other shapes. It doesn't really matter. Now, once you add the square, you're going to remove the rounded corners. Now, pay attention to this effect. This effect is different from the other one. The other one is just to make it transparent and to make a certain part to be colored, while certain parts black and white. Now, for this particular effect, pay attention to what we're going to be doing. So we're going to place this shape here. We're going to change the shape color. So let's assume the company is working with red colors. So change this to red, and then we change transparency, reduce transparency to, let's say, 50%. So if you add this to a design, automatically you are showing some sort of it's more like you're adding an effect to a design that is plain. If you remove this from this design, it's going to look boring. So that's the idea behind it. So once you add only this, and as you can see, it's transparent. So if you reduce transparency, it's just like the other one. But you have to decide on where to add the shape. Pressure said add more thin ones. Okay, so once you add the shape, reduce transparency to, let's say, 50%, so you can see the get through the effects. And then to complement this particular shape, let's say you add a circle, or let's say you add this shape, and then you add it behind this write-up like this, and then the same process, you reduce transparency to 50%. So automatically you have a nice design that is not is not actually disturbing. It's a plain design, no disturbance. It's not a problem. Another practical example of this type of highlighting is, let me just clear this and then I'll show you something else. Let's say lady wearing earring. Let me know if I can see. Okay, I think I can see something on that. So I'm going to select a picture of a woman wearing earring. And then, for example, if I am to build a design for a company that produces earrings, this is like a practical example of these things I've been talking about. If I add this picture of a woman wearing this earring, let's assume this company produces this earring. I edit the picture, go to filter, and then I add a filter that I want. Now we have different types of black and white picture. So you have to decide on the one to use. This Neo looks good. It looks better than the other one because we use slate. Slate is more like washed, but this one has more quality, this Neo. So we added this. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to add that picture again. The same process. Remember what I said. If you're adding pictures, make sure you add it the same way. So you just place it at the top, zoom it out, zoom it by the side. Make sure you're maintaining the same pattern so that it's going to match once you're running it. Now, since this company produces earring, we don't have any business with the woman. Yes, you can use different types of black and white stuffing. So we don't have any business with the woman. We want to highlight that particular earring the woman is wearing. So we're going to do something like this. So all we are highlighting is we are highlighting the two earrings she's wearing. That's the product we are selling. That's the only thing we need for that design. And then, because this picture is, the picture of the woman is kind of nice, you might add the shape, or you decide not to add the shape. It doesn't really matter. But if you add the shape, you are like showing more, you are focusing, you're trying to focus more on the product. So if you add the shape to the earring, that's the highlighted section, and then let's say you add a color to it, you have something like this. Are you guys paying attention? And then once you are done with something like this, you simply add some write-ups about the products. Let's say grow in silence, earrings. Let's say grow in silence earrings. I don't really know the write-ups to add, Sha, but you guys are getting the points I'm trying to make. So once you're done with doing that particular stuff, you're almost done with the design. You don't really need much much stuff for a magazine. Like I said, this effect works perfectly for a magazine, product design and stuff like that. So if I add this right up here and I change the font to something stylish, let me go ahead and add. Let me go ahead and find a font that looks stylish. So we're going to use this particular design to finish up the class. Okay, let's just go with this. So grow in silence earring. Now for most companies, their designs, when it comes to this kind of products, they normally have some write-ups on the design. So I'm going to just pick up a write-up from Google. So I'll just place it and I'll show you how to place it so that it looks perfect. So I'm going to grab it right up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little body text. I want to add a little body text. And this little body text, if I place it at the center down parts like this, and then let's assume this is another write-up, another separate write-up. Let's assume this is another write-up. Let's say the product description, the price, or whatever. This particular one, I'm going to rotate it and go 90. And then I'm going to place it by the side like this. Are you guys paying attention? Now, like I said, if the write-ups are not showing properly, go ahead and add outline. Add outline to it. Preferably dark outline. It's going to make it pop. So we have this. Now, another option for this, if you don't want to use square, for example, I said you can use circles. Now, using circle is the same process. It's using squares. It's the same process. So this basically means we have the product design. The only thing missing from this design is maybe the price of the earring or whatever, which if we wanted to do that, we could easily use. Do we have to use black and white? The effects work perfectly if you use black and white, or you can do the effects in different ways. But the idea is if this background is darkened, that's black and white, the main thing you are trying to highlight should be colored. That's the reason for the effect. So if you want to highlight the products, let's say the earring, you just highlight only the earring. So the person is not going to pay attention to the lady herself. So that's the reason this part is darkened. If this part is not darkened, it's not going to work. Because it's just like, okay, let me just show you an example. If I remove the filter from the picture, it works perfectly, but now the picture is kind of it doesn't really show the product because all the pictures are colored, but that doesn't mean it cannot work like this. But the difference is once you highlight that particular product you're marketing, that's how the effect goes. So that's the main reason why companies do it. You can actually highlight it just like this by adding shape to it. but it's not going to make sense because the idea is to highlight only the products. Hope you guys are following. All right. I'm trying to see if I can show you guys something else before we end the class. And also, I can assure you that the effect works the other way around. You can have the color picture. You can have the color picture, and then this particular one in black and white. You know that's possible, right? So you can have the color picture, and the highlighted one can be black and white. That's why I said it depends on what you're working on. So you can decide to add. You can decide to add, make the other one. You can decide to make this particular one colored, and then the highlighted one, make it black and white. So if I click on the highlighted one and I add the filter, so it looks like this. So you can do it the other way around. So depending on what you're working on, you can do it the other way around. You guys understand? Okay. So the idea of this is just not to make pictures boring. If you are running a design, you can easily add these effects just not to make it boring. And then if you want to add some little stuff to the background, there are some stuffs you can add to the background to make it look better. So if you just search for abstract shapes, you go to graphics. There are a bunch of stuff you can add to the background that would make it not to be boring. And most of this stuff, you can actually change the colors. So if you don't want the background to be plain, you can just go through the archive, just search for abstract shapes, and then you choose whatever you want to add. And if you add it and you feel like it's too shouty, you can just reduce transparency just to make it not to be visible. But it's going to be there, but it's not really visible. All those little details you're adding to the picture, all those little details makes it better.
Okay.
You guys understand? Okay. So, you guys have any questions so far? Any questions so far? So we started from the other lady, and then we ended up creating a design for earring products. So if I am to give you an assignment to run a design for a product, this is what I'm expecting. You just highlight the products. If I search for a lady holding a drink, I don't know if I'm going to see that particular picture. Well, let's see. If I search for someone holding a drink and I want to highlight the drink, that I want to advertise for the drink, I have no business with the lady holding the drink. So I can decide to add this effect to the design just to isolate the lady, and then I will highlight the drink. So that once someone looks at the design, the person is paying attention to the highlighted parts. So if you look at this picture we designed here, the first thing the person is going to be looking at is, why is this place boxed? Why is this place highlighted? That's the most important thing in this design. That's why I said it's better for you to make the background black and white, and then you color the product, because that's the place the person is going to be looking at. The person is going to be wondering, why is this place highlighted? Why did the company isolate this particular section? Hope you guys understand. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask the question. I'm not feeling too well, so that's why we're running a simple design. Next week is going to be something else. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do picture manipulations next week. So we're going to edit a picture to the extent that it looks like AI. So we're going to edit a picture to the extent that it looks like AI. And we're going to use this particular effect that we just learned today to do that. So let me just show you a picture. I'm going to show you a particular picture so you understand what I'm saying. So can you guys see this picture? This is the picture of a lady. But as you can see, the picture has some parts of the lady that's transparent, and then they added the Eiffel Tower, some stuff, and then they blended it together. So that's what you get when you're using this sort of effects. So you kind of overlay pictures on top of each other, and then you decide on the parts you want to work on. You decide on the stuff to add to the picture to make it look different. But for this particular class, the aim of this effect is just to teach you how to highlight items, especially when you're working with, let's say, a company. Okay, for example, let me just try and pull up the picture. Let me show you this picture. Are you seeing this picture? Okay, so let's analyze the picture. So we have www.jewelry.com, probably the website of the company, and then they have some write-ups about the products, some write-ups about the products, and then they highlighted the earring, which is the product, that's the jewelry. So they highlighted only the earring because that's the most important parts of the design. So that's why I said this particular design is nice, is the best design to use when it comes to highlighting items. So that's what companies use most times. And then, for example, let me create a new page. We're ending now. Don't worry. So I'm going to I just created a new page. So now what we're going to do is I want to show you something else before we end the class. Now we have this picture. I'll duplicate the picture and place it on top of the other one. I'm going to show you another way to use this effect. Now, since I duplicated this picture, I'm going to add an effect to this particular section. So you understand. So it's not only to highlight. So pay attention to what I'm doing. So I just highlighted this particular section. Now, if I want to do that again, I'll duplicate it again. If I want to highlight the down section, I do the same process. Place it on top of the original picture, highlight only that section. Are you guys seeing what I'm doing? So it's more like blending the picture any way you want. You can blend the picture any way you want. You can use this particular effect on any type of design you are working on. It's not only just highlighting a product. So if you are designing for someone, only this stuff you did here will show the person that you know what you're doing, that you're a professional. So that's the reason you have to learn these techniques. Steph, do you have a question?
Can you just have patterns to the picture?
I didn't get your question.
Like adding black and white lines to the picture.
Black lines.
Like black and white lines.
It depends on what you're trying to do. You can try it out. You can, when you're working on your own, you can try it out. But there's no particular way you do this stuff. It's just you have to experiment. Please, you get the idea, so you have to experiment on it. As I say, I did this particular section just like this, and then this down section just like this. So you just have to get it by experimenting. So you can still highlight just by doing this. Highlight by doing this. So there's no particular way you should do it. But the idea is once someone looks at the design, the person already knows that you're a professional. So it doesn't really matter. And most of these designs you are seeing, most of these kind of designs you are seeing is used by major companies. They are used by top companies. And they are used for fashion magazines and all these fashion brands, people that sell jewelry, clothes, they use this type of effect on majority of their designs. Hope you guys understand. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up one more picture, and then after that we end the class. Since you guys said you guys don't have questions, so look at this particular design. So we have focus. I think this particular design is highlighting the eyeglass, the glasses. So this is what they're highlighting, the glasses. So they just, and as you can see, they even blurred out the background. That's another thing you can also try out. That's if you don't want the background to be showing at all, you can blur it out. And then they only left this particular section just to highlight the glasses. Blurring out the background is simple also. If you want to blur it out, click on this, go to edit. You should have blur on the effects. We search for. So filters filters only deals with color schemes and all. And we have different types of filters though. So you were to experiment on the filters. The blur itself, let me try and see if I can see the blur. Okay, so we have the colorize here. We have other stuff here. I don't think the blur is here. So let me check for. I don't know if the shadows can actually work for this. Okay. So if you don't have time, like searching for the blur on the edit tab, you can simply go to the elements and then you search for blur on the elements. Search for blur on the elements and then search for blur on graphics or on photos. And then once you add the blur, you reduce transparency depending on the amount you want to add. So you keep on reducing transparency of the blur depending on the level you want the blur to be. So once you add the blur to your design, you just place it on top of the picture you want to blur, and then you start reducing transparency. So the more transparent the picture is, depending. So you have to decide on what you want to do. But generally, this design is perfect for whatever you're working on. Simple write-ups on the design, highlighted products. You don't need any other stuff. The only thing missing in this design is the price of the products and maybe the website of the people that are selling it. So any questions? Any question? So nobody has a question. So you guys can do this. Can you guys run this? If I ask you guys to do it, can you do it? Okay. Okay, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to run this design, this particular design. When we come for the next section next week, you guys are going to share your screen. People that did it, because I know some people are not going to do it. So just if you do it, if you run the design perfectly, when we come for the next class, you indicate, so you share your screen so I can see what you did. Since everyone is claiming that they can do it. Hope that's okay, right? So I'll be expecting to see some designs from you guys next week. Steph, any question?
No.
Okay, so if you're going to do the design, you have from now till Saturday. Gamsi, if you want to share a screen, there is this button that looks like a laptop. There's a button that looks like a laptop on the Google Meets. It looks like a laptop. It's beside the smiley icon. So that's how you share your screen. I think I like this effect. Let me add it to this particular one. So that's it for today's class, guys. We're going to run something else next week, something more intense. I'm going to look for something else. Do you guys know how to use AI to create a design? Do you guys know how to use AI to create a design? Jane and Richard knows how to do that, but I taught them already. So others don't know how to create designs using AI. So maybe we will talk about that next week. And we'll also talk about how to create the design in such a way that nobody's going to know that it's AI. Because if you don't create it properly, someone can easily tell that it's AI. But do you have a question?
Oh, yes. How do you get
Another page.
Okay, so if you want to create another page, um, under the design you're working on, you see add page on your laptop. So you see add page, just click on the add page. It's going to add another page for you. Go ahead with your question, Steph.
Do we all have to present ours next week? Or
I
how can we?
suggest you try out the design and then you present it so that I can see what you worked on. If I
What
have
if we're not
correction,
finished?
huh?
What if we're not finished?
Yeah, you can finish up now. Today is Saturday. Yeah, you're presenting next week Saturday, so you have 1 week.
Okay.
And it's a simple design. You can finish it within a day. Within a few hours, you can finish this. Just try as much as possible to run the design. Go ahead with your question, Pearl.